Good morning, students. How are you all, students? Are you all fine? Okay, very good. I am also fine, students. Okay, welcome to our accountancy class today. In accountancy, we have already completed 5 chapters, right? So, the 5 chapters we have learnt many things, isn't it, about accountancy, that introduction, then all the concepts, then conventions, then we have started the problems, isn't it, accounting equation and journal entries. From the transactions, how to make journal entries we have learned. Then from the journal entries, how to post the journal entries in the ledger accounts. That also we have learned in the next one, fourth lesson, isn't it? In the fifth lesson, we have learned to write all the balances, that is called the trial balance. All the balances from the ledger accounts, isn't it? So now we are going to learn about the subsidiary books. What are subsidiary books? Here, the subsidiary books are, here it is divided into 1 and 2. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the section number 1. Okay. Subsidiary books. What is the meaning of subsidiary books? Here, it is exactly like the journal. You know, in some of the business concern, they will have many transactions. Okay. Many transactions of same nature. For example, sales. They may have many customers to sell. For each and every customer, if they write a journal entry, what will happen? Within 2-3 days, they may complete one big account notebook, isn't it? So, in order to reduce the work of the staff to enter the preparing journal entries, with all the recurring nature of the transactions, especially the sales, then purchases, this is what will happen more, isn't it? Then purchase returns and sales returns. Okay, this 4. Then any bill of exchange received. So bills receivable, bills payable. Okay, all these books are prepared. Okay, in order to enter in the journal entries, we are entering in the subsidiary books. They are called subsidiary books. It is also book of prime entry. Subsidiary books are books of prime entry. We call the journal also book of prime entry, isn't it? Beginning, we are entering them in the journal entries. Here, instead of preparing journal entries, we are recording the repetitive transactions are occurring again and again every day for many times. They are the recurring nature transactions. Those transactions are entered in the books, either sales book or purchase book, purchase returns book, sales returns book, bills receivable book, bills payable book. All these, first we have learned in the beginning, the first lesson itself, some the terminologies in accounting, isn't it? There we have learned the transactions. We know very well the transactions. Transactions are divided into 2. One is cash transactions, the other is credit transactions. If in a transaction cash is involved, it is cash transaction. So, the main important subsidiary book, the first and foremost book of subsidiary book is called the cash book. Okay, so the first one is cash book for recording the cash transactions. Okay, cash book. Okay, cash book it is. Then all the credit transaction, for this one only, all the 6 books. What are the 6 books? Purchases book, sales book, purchase returns book, sales returns book, bills receivable book, bills payable book. Okay. So here we have totally 7 books. Okay, we will learn one by one. Okay, if again in some transactions will be there, we cannot enter either in the cash book or any of these subsidiary books. Then we need to prepare one entry that is called journal proper. Journal proper. Okay, that we will learn at the end of this lesson. Okay. So here we are going to learn each and every book, but this cash book we are going to learn in the subsidiary book too. Okay, so now for the credit transactions, what all the books are prepared? We know purchase book, sales book, purchase returns book, sales returns book. Okay. So here you should know what is this journal or subsidiary books. What is subsidiary book? They are the subdivisions of journal. Okay, that similar nature are recorded. I have told you, similar nature. Sales, all the credit sales. We are not selling to a particular person, but we are selling for different customers. But we group all the sales transactions in one book that is called sales book. In the same way, we purchase from many suppliers on credit. Okay, but we enter all the credit purchases in one book that is called purchases book. Okay. We know what are the meaning of these subsidiary books and the kinds we have learned. Now we will learn the advantages of the subsidiary books. What are the advantages we have? What are the advantages? We will learn around 10, more than 10 given I think. One by one we will learn. Okay. Proper and systematic record of business transactions. Proper and systematic record of business transactions. Here we know that is there, isn't it, in double entry system. In accounting we learn we are recording all the transactions, all the business transactions we are recording in a systematic way. Okay, because we are grouping the transactions into cash and non-cash transactions. That means cash items are recorded in the cash book. All the credit transactions are recorded in this purchase book, sales book, purchase returns book, sales returns book. Okay, so we are recording systematically and properly in the subsidiary books. Okay, number 2, convenient posting. Okay, convenient posting. We can, because you see when we enter in the journal entries, what we do, each and every transaction must be posted, isn't it? Here the posting is becoming convenient because almost all the purchases, purchase transaction, many purchases we may do from different suppliers. So in the purchases book we have to enter only one time. Either in a day or weekly we can close and we can post them. And all that creditor's name also we can post there. Okay, so that is possible. That posting is very convenient. Easily we can do. Okay, next one, division of work. Because in the journal, each book, either cash book will be given in one person to enter, then purchase book will be entered by another clerk. So we can, the work can be easily divided for various staff in the company. Okay, each person can work in one book. So they will easily complete their work. Okay. the work will be completed very fast and very speedy. Okay. Then the fourth point is efficiency. Here, this efficiency is coming because of the division of work. What we do, we will divide a particular, one clerk is responsible for entering all the credit purchases in the purchases book. So he is becoming very efficient. You know, who all the suppliers he may know, and what is the very speedily he will enter and he will find out the total of each supplier, one who is entering the transactions in the purchases book. Okay, that efficiency is coming after division of work. So all the people, those who prepare these books, will become more efficient. Then the next one, helpful in decision making. Helpful in decision making. So here the management is getting the advice of this staff, those who prepare this one, especially that purchases book or sales book or purchase return or sales return. That sales return only will reduce our income, isn't it? So if there is more sales return, what we will think, we will analyze what are the reasons, and the management can take effective decision in order to reduce the sales returns, in order to increase the sales, total volume of sales, in order to increase the profit. So this subsidiary book, preparing subsidiary books helps the management to take effective decisions at the proper time. Okay. Then the next point, prevents errors and frauds. Here in the business organizations, there are internal check in the accounting session. What is the meaning internal check? Okay, internal check means one person's work will be checked by another person. Here you see, one person will be entering in the cash book, then posting will be done by another person. So one who is posting, he can check the any error or fraud takes place. Okay, so internal check, the auditors internal check, that means the auditors themselves will do. Okay, that automatically one person error will be rectified, spotted out and rectified by another staff. That is called internal check. Okay, that they can do. Then availability of requisite information. Requisite means needed information at a glance. At a glance means if we see once, we can see the total information. For example, what is the total purchases today can be found out from the purchases book alone. But in the journal entry, we are not able to find out the total purchases. For that one, what we should do? We should post all those purchases in the purchases account. Only then we can find out. But here immediately after posting and preparing the subsidiary books, we can find out the total of purchases. Okay, so at a glance we can find out. And detailed information available. Next point. Detailed information available. Because one purchases book if we open, we can find out how much quantity we have sold, to whom, who is our customer name, then the total amount, then what description of the books also we write. So all the information can be available from the subsidiary book. Okay. Then the next point is saving time. Saving in time. Here, which will be more easy, this preparing subsidiary books. But preparing journal entries, it's a mere waste of time, isn't it? And waste of that paper also, and notebook. Okay, so all the stationery, everything is waste of time, waste of material, and waste of time and energy of the person want to write. But here, within a short time, they will enter in all the books. Purchases will be entered by one staff in the purchase book. Another person will enter the sales sales details. Okay, so it saves the time, because even division of work, because of the division of work, time can be saved here. Okay, students, the last point is labor of posting is reduced. The work. Here, posting. For example, many purchases will be there. Preparation of journal entries, first waste of time. Then again we need to post each and every transaction, each and every journal entry in the ledger account. There also we need to post each and every journal entry. But in the subsidiary books, what we do? We enter all the purchase book in one purchases, all the purchases detail, isn't it? Then in the purchasers book, we post only one time, totally. But we will enter in the particular supplier's account separately. In particular, we will post, but in general, totally, we will post in the purchase book. Okay, so it is the labor of posting is reduced here now. Okay, students, you have understood now? Now, shall I mark and give some of the question answers for you, students? The first very short question, mention 4 types of subsidiary books. Okay, that for that question, you can mark the answer here, what I will show to you. 4 types of subsidiary books. Here, purchases book, purchase returns book, sales returns book. This 4 maybe for 2 marks they will ask you. Okay, 4 types of subsidiary books. Okay. Next question, what are the advantages of subsidiary books? Okay, their advantages, I have taught you, 10 points available. So you write all the points. Okay, 10 points if you write that also, 3 marks. But if they have asked you for 5 marks, you must be able to explain at least 5 points. Okay, at least 5 points you have to learn thoroughly. Okay, advantages. I think we can see what is purchases book also we will learn. Okay, students, problem we may start tomorrow. First I will explain the purchases book. What is purchases book? We know what is a purchases book. Purchases book is a subsidiary book. In this book, we will enter only the credit purchases. Okay? Only the credit purchases of goods, not assets. Okay? Only the credit purchases of books are entered. So, if we look into this purchases book, we will come to know how much purchases we have made on credit. Okay, but cash purchases where we will enter only in the cash book. Okay, here you should understand the meaning of goods. What is the goods? That all the goods we have already learned in the first lesson. What are goods? The things that we purchase in order to for the purpose of resale. They are called goods. Okay, here assets are not included. Okay, here assets not included. Okay, then whether it is cash purchase of asset or credit purchase of asset, we will not enter. Okay, so we should consider the credit purchase of goods means the goods they are meant for resale purpose. Okay, no other purchases we can make. Okay. Now we will learn the format of purchases book. Okay, here we need only one page. Okay, here amount column we have two, isn't it? Two amount column. Then one LF. Okay, LF. Amount here, one details we should write. The other one total we have to write. Both the rupees. Okay, then invoice number. Now particulars, then date. Particulars, invoice number. Okay, what is the format? Purchases book. Purchases book. Okay, here we are writing one more invoice number. Here two amount column there. One is detail column, the other is total column. Understood? Here we will write the step 1. What is the step 1? Preparation of purchases book. Date we need to write. Isn't it? Then in the same way, the year 2018 January. Here one small line will be there. There you should write 1. Okay. Then in the particulars column, we will write from whom we purchase. For example, Ram and Co. Okay. We will write Ram and Co. If we purchase from our supplier's name, we should write. Okay. Then here we have to write the details. Okay, if we purchase that rice, okay, 100 bags of rice at the rate of, for one bag, then 400 rupees. Okay, one bag 400 rupees. How much we will get? Here we should write 1 into 4, then 40,000 total, isn't it? Then from him we may purchase, okay, wheat. 50 bags of wheat at the rate of 500. Okay, then 25,000. Detail column we will write. Then we should write the total here. Okay, 65,000. This way we have to write. Understood, students? Now, next column, invoice number. So here we might have purchased here, no, one invoice number. If they give, you can write. Ledger folio, when we will write at the time of posting, leave it. Detail and total we are later. Okay, then at last, many suppliers' name will be there, different date. Okay. Then we will write all the amount and at last we will write the total. We will write all the total and we will write. This one only we will post. Okay. There we will write, not total, we will write purchasers account. Because we are posting to the purchasers account debit side, debtor. Okay. Debit side, debtor we have to write. Okay. Now here in the purchases book you should understand, I will explain what is invoice. What is invoice? Because we are entering this purchases book with the support of invoice. Invoice is prepared by the seller. So the seller means our supplier, Ram and Co. Ram and Co only prepare this invoice and he will give us. With this one only we can write, okay, how many bags of rice, what is the price, isn't it? So this is the invoice prepared by the seller, having all the details or the detailed description of the goods. Quantity, quality, price, rate, total amount, any discount allowed, everything will be given. So here it is the source document. Invoice is the source document. We can call this invoice as bill. Okay. Simply we say, okay, where is the bill, isn't it? Or it is the statement. Detailed statement of the product, isn't it? So we can call it as bill or statement or business document, whatever it is. Okay, it is prepared by the seller to the buyer. Okay, the seller only prepares the invoice and it will be sent to the buyer. Okay, so for us, purchases book means we are purchasing from Ram and Co. Ram and Co will prepare the invoice and it will be sent to us. From there we will enter in the purchases book. Okay, here I told you one item, that is discount. Okay, the detail of discount, that also you should know. What is discount? Here there are two discounts. Now we will learn about the trade discount. Okay, two discounts available in the accountancy subject. Okay, in the business there are two discounts. One is cash discount. Now here it is the trade discount. Here, what is trade discount? The first discount that occurs in a business is trade discount. This discount is allowed by the seller to the buyer on its invoice price. Okay, they will reduce 1% or 10% from the total price, and after deducting this trade discount, the net amount only will be payable by the buyer. Okay, the buyer has to pay the net amount. It will be deducted from the total amount. Why they are providing this trade discount? In order to increase the volume of sales. If a person purchase for 50,000 rupees, okay, they will give some discount. Who will buy that one? Usually the wholesalers, isn't it? They only, or retailers also they will provide. Retailers will purchase from the wholesalers and they will sell to the customers, isn't it? So since they purchase on big quantity, this that either the manufacturer or the wholesaler will allow this trade discount. Understand? So trade discount is not recorded in the books of accounts. Why? It is deducted from the price. Here, less trade discount, they will deduct and the remaining net amount only they will pay. When we show, here for example, here 65,000 we have got, isn't it? If any trade discount available, 10%, we will deduct this one. Okay, 6,500. The remaining amount only we will write. Okay, 10 minus 5, 14 minus 6, 58,500 only we will enter. So this will not be shown in the books of accounts anywhere, but only it is mentioned in the invoice, or the invoice only it will be written. So we are also entering in the purchases book how much discount we have got. Okay, nowhere it is entered. But another discount, the cash discount we will enter. That I will explain now what is cash discount. Okay, students. It is not given in the book. Given then I will explain to you. You must understand. Okay, what is cash discount? Cash discount is allowed to the credit customer only. Okay, it is also allowed by the seller only to the buyer in order to make a prompt payment. Prompt payment. They will give, the credit period will be given for a credit customer. Okay, cash discount is provided to the credit customers, credit purchasers. Okay, credit customers or credit purchasers, credit sales. Okay, we are providing this cash discount in order to make a prompt payment, because the credit period will be maybe for 1 month. Okay, so today they purchase, okay, 14th October they purchase. Okay, 1 month credit period. When they have to pay? 14th November, isn't it? They will add 3 more days, grace days. Okay, then 15, 16, 17. So 17th October they have to pay that is the due date. Okay, before the due date, if they make the credit payment, we will provide 1%, maybe 3%, or 4 or 2%, or at the most 5%. Anything they will allow, that will be deducted from the amount. When we receive the amount, this will be deducted. So there we should show. When in the cash book we will show. When we receive the amount from the credit customers, we will show the amount of discount. Okay, we will not receive little amount from the due amount. So that will be reduced and the remaining amount only we will receive. Okay, that amount will be shown in the discount allowed column. Okay, so that will be shown. Now we do not need this one. Okay, now I will mark and give some more question answers. Okay, students. What is purchases book? Second question answer. Okay, question. What is purchases book? Then purchases book heading you have to take there the first paragraph you mark. Okay. Question number 2. Purchases book. Then short answer first question. Format of purchases book. Format of purchases book I explained to you. Isn't it? This one. Okay, this format you mark it. Okay. They will never ask, but you should know to draw the column. That is all. So we will do the problems tomorrow. Okay, students. So learn well these question answers and make thorough. We will do the problems tomorrow. Okay, students. Thank you very much.